You are saying that meditation and enlightenment are two different things and they have absolutely no causal connection with each other. Is it not necessary for us to do meditation for attaining enlightenment? Or shall we have to give up meditation for the sake of attaining enlightenment? Please explain the subtle difference between the meditation and the enlightenment.
Meditation is something and liberation is some other thing. Meditation is something, the enlightenment is some other thing. Meditation is only shaping of our mind. But liberation is not the shaping of our mind. It is only a liberation of our mind. Through meditation, we design, we shape our mind. We mold our mind. We construct our mind. But in liberation, there is no shaping, there is no construction. There is only freedom. There is no construction. There is no suppression. There is only liberation. There is only freedom. We give our mind, we leave our mind total freedom. So that is why we do not recommend meditation for liberation. Meditation is towards the South Pole and liberation is towards the North Pole. They are both opposite to each other. There is no causal connection between the two. No one can get liberation through meditation. It is impossible. No one can get the North Pole by going towards the South Pole. It is just opposite. But most of the scriptures, most of the saints advise meditation. And if we follow meditation on the advice of these such saints, we may get some experiences through meditation. Even though meditation is not successful towards enlightenment and liberation, meditation is very essential for getting some experiences. Because all meditation produces many kind of experiences. One may get blissful experiences, transcendental experiences, some power. In the same way, we can get many things through meditation. The only thing that we cannot through meditation is the enlightenment, is the liberation. No one can get enlightenment and liberation through meditation. If you want to get liberation and enlightenment, we have to abandon all kind of meditation. We have to give up all kind of meditations. So that is the basic requirement for enlightenment and liberation. But in the scriptures and the sayings of saints, they invariably tell us the practice of concentration upon consciousness. For example, we may take the example of a painting in a white paper. Some painting is drawn, for example. The painting describes a beautiful mountain with peaks and valley, with beautiful trees and some falls, some waterfalls. It is a beautiful paint, it is a beautiful picture. The picture was drawn, the picture was painted in a plain paper. If we touch, if we smear the paper, there is no peaks, there is no pits, there is no valley. It is a plain paper. There is no height, there is no lower thing, there is no altitude, there is no valley, there is no peak. The descriptive aspects are only in the painting. In the paper, and the paper is very plain, there is no descriptive aspect. It is even. So, in the same way, in our consciousness, we have the intellect aspect. The intellect aspect is functioning upon the surface of our consciousness. The consciousness is the paper. The consciousness is the plain paper. It is even. There is no pits, there is no height and down in the paper, there is no up and down in the consciousness. It is even always. The consciousness is same always. The consciousness is same always. when we are trying to do some meditation, the instruction is to concentrate upon the mind, upon the consciousness. The mind is wavering, but the consciousness is not wavering. So we are asked to concentrate upon the unwavering consciousness, the peaceful consciousness, the steady consciousness. So when we concentrate upon the consciousness, the agitative part of our mind, the agitative portion of our intellect becomes silent. The agitative portion of our mind becomes one with the consciousness. So that is why everybody gives importance to the meditation. Thereby we can concentrate upon the consciousness, which is the base of our intellect. And when we are staying with our consciousness, our intellect becomes silent. The intellect is no longer struggling. So we are having a different kind of experience when we are staying in our consciousness. We are having different kind of experience when our intellect part is silent. But how long will it live? Will it last? But how long will the same thing will continue? It will continue only for a time being. And once again, our intellect then once again our intellect will be away from the consciousness. Will be get back to the original position. So once again all the troubles of the intellect, all the troubles of our mind will come again. So giving importance to the consciousness and concentrating and staying with the consciousness will give us only a temporary remedy. And there will not be any and there will not be any permanent remedy. So, the understanding must be dealt with only with the intellect part. If we dealt with the intellect part, if you get the clear understanding of our mind, if we got clear understanding of the functioning of our mind, the remedy is permanent. If you understand, everything is over. All our problems are permanently over. The liberation enlightenment is permanent. So we have to understand, we have to solve all the problems only intellectually. Because the bondage, the ignorance is available, is only in the intellect part. The problem is only in the intellect part. So we have to give importance only to the intellect part. We need not enter into the conscious level. The conscious need not be set right. It is already in a good condition. We need not set our consciousness in a correct way. We have to set right the intellect part alone. So what is necessary is our understanding only, our intellectual comprehension only. So the meditation deals with only the consciousness, the concentration upon the consciousness, the staying with the consciousness. But it is a temporary one. It will not solve the problem permanently. And in the religious literatures, there is a story only a monk, a rishi by name Uttangar. He is a man of all austerities. He is doing daily rites, daily rituals, daily meditations. He is a monk. He is a wandering monk. Once when he was meditating, God appears before him and God appears before him, asked whether he wants any blessings from him. But the saint, the monk, was in need of anything, so he did not ask anything. I do not want anything, So there is no necessary for your blessings. He simply is denied. But at the same time, the God is insisting, so you must get something from me. And the monk also, the rishi also, trying to get some blessing. So what thing he has to get from the God as a blessings? He thought for himself. As he is a wandering monk, he was always getting some food wherever he went. He got some residence for his staying wherever he wandering. But in certain times, he had the scarcity of water for his drink. At times, he was searching water for his thirst. So he had the idea of asking the boon of supplying water. When he was really in want of water. So he asked the blessings. So God himself granted the blessings. So whenever you ask water for your thirst, I will supply water. So the God assured him. And time passed away. The monk had not any circumstances to ask water, because wherever he went, wherever he goes, he had plenty of water for his consumption. But only one time, when he was moving in a forest, he was unable to get water, and he wandered here and there to find out some water. But he cannot find any water. So then only he reminded with the blessings of the God. The God promised him to supply water whenever he demand water. So he asked God to grant some water. God himself understands that he wants some water, and God himself decided to supply water for his thirst. But anyhow, the God considers the supply of water is not a great thing for this great man. So the God wants to give him amrita or nectar instead of water. The nature of amrita or nectar is If one consumes the Amrita, there will be no death for the person who consumed the Amrita. So the God asked the deity by name Indran, is the custodian of Amrita, to supply Amrita to the monk, the Uttangar. But Indran was hesitant to supply Amrita. He told it is reserved only for gods and deities and Devadas, and it is not meant for human beings, so it is not proper for to supply Amrita to human beings. So he argued not to supply for the nectar to the monk. But anyhow, the God insisted for the supply of Amrita, and at last Indran consented to supply Amrita, but with a condition. I will supply Amrita, okay, but anyhow I will supply it in a disguise that the person, the receptor, the receiver will not know openly that this is Amrita. I will supply it in a different disguise. God also accepted the condition, and Indran appeared before the monk. The Indran had the appearance of an ugly person, as a savage person. His body is very dead. He has a bag made up of leather. The leather bag is also very ugly. And Indran carried the Amrita in the ugly bag. And in that condition, Indran offered the Amrita to the monk. He asked the monk, Swami, are you thirsty? Are you ready to take water from me? He asked the monk. And the monk, the Uttangar, looked up and down upon the ugly person. He looked down upon the ugly condition of the water, the container of the water. He becomes awkward. He felt awkward upon the nasty appearance. So he simply refused to take water from the person. And Indran was very happy. So he disappeared from the monk with the Amrita. Afterwards, the monk complained to the god. He complained, so I am asking you only a cup of water in a thirsty condition, but you humiliated me by offering it in an ugly manner. Why are you doing so? He complained to the God. And God explains. God explained what has happened. Really, he offered Amrita instead of water. But Uttangar was unable to identify the Amrita in the disguise of ugly appearance. So here, why we are telling this story, our consciousness is always just like Amrita. It is not ugly. There is no problem in the consciousness. It is always pure. It is always holy. It is always divine. But only the appearance alone is in the worst condition. The appearance alone is ugly. But we need not change our consciousness. We need not rectify the status of our consciousness. But in the name of religious practices, meditation practices, we are trying to saturate our consciousness. But there is no necessity. There is no necessity to approach everything in the conscious level. The consciousness is always safe. So our approach must be given importance only to the intellectual level. So if you understand properly, the understanding will operate everything in a good manner. Our understanding will solve all our problems. So the meditation we are relying upon is dealing with the consciousness. It is not dealing with our mind. It is not dealing with our intellect. So what is necessary here is to deal with our intellect part. If you deal with our intellect part, everything is okay. Everything will be solved.